Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Yes, we are underneath the car doing the exhaust on a 1.4 Seat Cordoba. It's just the back box. The back box is rusty, falling off, but we've still got this little bit of pipe here left. So the connection is very rusty. We're going to replace it with the new connection. So this is the time we hope it snaps. But because I don't really care, it won't. Now that's just slipping because it's just completely rusty. So even to get this off, lovely. Might be able to wedge a smaller one on it because it's that rusty, but even that isn't going to work. So all I'm going to do, just to save time, just going to cut this off because it's pointless trying to do anything else with it. So whenever you're grinding, make sure you wear glasses, especially, well, all the time, but especially when you're underneath the car because the bits are going to fall on you. Now if you're grinding on a petrol car, make sure there is no fuel leaks or anything like that, because we're right next to the tank and it will go boom, and it'll be the last job you do. Just move that out of the way, and now we need to get this off. This can be really easy or quite hard. Now we've actually got a bend of the pipe where we could most probably hit it with here, but the problem with doing that is you want to make sure you support the exhaust with your hand at the back and make sure the other part of the exhaust isn't rusty, because you could very easily snap it. I'm going to try and do it this way first. Now, we got away with it, but not all the time you will. There we go. It's off. Why is it always the simple jobs that turn out to be a nightmare? This is the original exhaust, and the exhaust we've got is the right exhaust for this car, but this is the pipe from it. As you can see, is absolutely miles too big. I can actually fit my finger in the gap. That's how big it is. It's 10 mil too big, if not more. Now, I've rang through to the manufacturers. They've double checked it. They've rang through to their suppliers, and they've got 3 more exhausts in stock, and they're all the same size. They're all 52 mil. This is 38 mil. Yes, just a nightmare. So it looks like we've got the right exhaust for this car, apparently. So it looks like either something's happened to this exhaust in its lifetime, someone's done something and made something, or this car just has a funny exhaust. I've tried 2 suppliers and they're both coming back with the same thing. Now, yes, fair enough, a main dealer possibility, but a main dealer exhaust is 3 times as expensive as this exhaust. And it's actually the same manufacturer, so it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, just a nightmare. So what I've done is, I've actually cut this end off the exhaust. This is the end off the new exhaust, and as you can see, absolutely miles too big. I have then cut the end off the old exhaust, which obviously fits onto this part, as we can see, fits quite nicely. So then what I've done, with the end that I've cut off our new exhaust, which is here, I've cut down, which is now the same diameter. I've cut 2 little slots in it, so when I compress it with the new clamp, it's going to actually compress down on the exhaust. I could weld this, but I don't want to weld it. The reason why I don't want to weld it is because if we do have to change anything, there's no connection in the car, it means you have to cut it off, which can cause problems a lot further down the line, which I don't particularly want to do. So I've had to modify this. This is the problem with mechanics. People think every job is just simple. This job was supposed to be simple, but it's now maybe taking 2 extra hours just to do what I need to do. And unfortunately, the customer has to pay for that. So when people get at mechanics, oh, this and that, you said it was this, this is the problem they have. It's not the mechanic's fault, it's not the customer's fault. I have tried to get a different exhaust, but can't be done. So unfortunately, the problem is the customer has to take the hit on this, which, yes, I know isn't the best, but this is just the problem. It's annoying for everybody. So yeah, this is just the problem. It's just an absolute nightmare. Now, I've just kind of rested the exhaust in there, and what I'm hoping to do, if I can, is pull the exhaust apart and just get it to fit. Now, I have to use 2 clamps rather than 1, which is not the end of the world. Now, I'm going to have to clamp the old exhaust with a new clamp. I'm going to have to clamp the new exhaust. But at least this way, I don't have to weld it. I don't have to do anything messing like that. It's going to be fine. And yeah, it's going to be fine. What we have to do though is have to make sure, because obviously this can slide in and out, I need to make sure that all the exhaust now is straight. So in other words, I'm not putting too much pressure on the exhaust this way, I'm not putting too much pressure on the exhaust this way. So I need to make sure, depending on how this goes in, is going to affect the back box. If I push this in too much, it's going to kick out the end of the back box, which could hit something on the car. If I don't put it in enough, it could do it the opposite way. So first, before you clamp anything down, I'm just going to double check and basically put the exhaust in, rattle it like this. If it doesn't hit anything, well then you know you're more or less safe. Right, so now give it a really good shake, make sure it's not hitting anything, and it's not, which is a good sign. So we know we're okay as regards our position. So all I need to do now is put the 2 clamps back on. Now at least this way, if we ever need to take, even because the front part of the exhaust doesn't look great, so that could go in a few months. So at least we ever have to do anything, we know we're going to be okay, and it's not going to cause us any problems. Now, another thing you have to do is make sure that these clamps, make sure the clamps don't hit anything. Like if you put the clamps straight down there, it could be too low. So you need to put it somewhere where, again, give it a good shake, because the handbrake cable's quite close. I can put it there, and I'm not going to affect the handbrake cable. I'm not going to affect anything on there. So just need to move that a bit straighter. Get it there. You can get all these in all different sizes, and they are a good clamp. So again, put that one there, roughly tie it together by hand. And just make sure that it's not going to hit anything. So that should be good. Let's get 13mm, and you want to tighten these up evenly. So do them all a couple of turns at a time. Go to the next ones. The cut that I put in it will allow it to shrink and hopefully should seal properly. I can see it going in now, so I know it's actually working, which is a good sign. Now you don't want to over tighten these, and again what you can do is you can tighten them, let the car run, because when the car runs it heats up, it expands a bit. If it's leaking slightly, the carbon it'll carbon itself up, but if you are unsure or if you've got a slightly bigger hole, you can put exhaust paste in first and then do what I'm doing. But I'm lucky enough, I think I should be able to get away without doing that. We will soon find out. Now, I think give that a good shake. So it's not going to hit anything. If you're unsure, you can always just chop off these legs a little bit if you think they're too long. But that should be good. So the next thing to do is start her up and see what happens. Now we do have a little leak just here, so what I'm going to do is I'll just see if I can get it by tightening it up. And not really. So I've got some exhaust paste and I'll just spread that on top. There. Not that kind of dry. Might need a little bit more, but you kind of get the idea. It's only a tiny hole anyway, so it would carve it up, but that is really essentially, yeah, it's always the easy job that turned out to be an absolute nightmare. Took a couple of hours longer than it should do. Just a nightmare, but anyway, we got it in the end. So this is the problem with some parts. Even though the design for the car, all the numbers match up, done everything we possibly can, it still happens. It's just one of them things, and unfortunately there's just nothing you can do about it. It's a nightmare for everybody concerned, but however you look at it, still, even after doing all that, it's still going to be cheaper for me to buy that exhaust and fit it than it would be to just buy an exhaust from the main dealer. So, you know, it's a 2001 car, you know, it just, you know, do you spend it or don't you? And personally, still going to be just as good. Yeah, we got an extra couple of clamps, we've got an extra clamp, it's not the end of the world, and it's just simple as that really. So we still save money, and that's it. So look, hope it helps. Don't forget, check out our forum and do all that. Please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to get your hands dirty. See you for the next one.